The Giants went from this, running a QB sneak on 3rd and long, to making the playoffs in less than a year. They went from 4-13 to sitting at 9-6-1 heading into the last week of this season. How did they do a complete 180 in less than 365 days? The Giants had been a mess since the end of the 2016 season, or should I say since this photo was taken at the end of the 2016 season. The Giants went through 4 different head coaches in 5 years. Ben McAdoo, interim head coach, Steve Spagnuolo after his firing, Pat Shurmur, and Joe Judge. All of these coaches combined for a record of 33-64 over those years. After 5 straight losing seasons, the Giants cleared house yet again, this time bringing in first-year head coach Brian Daboll and first-time GM Joe Schoen from Buffalo. Schoen had been the assistant GM in Buffalo since 2017, and he was a part of the front office that traded up to draft Josh Allen. In January of 2018, Daboll was named the offensive coordinator of the Bills. He gets a lot of the credit for developing Josh Allen, who was a quarterback that needed to develop coming out of college. Just look at the jump in Josh Allen's stats after his first 2 years in Buffalo. After Joe Schoen had a stellar first draft with the Giants that many analysts graded in the A range, the real magic for this team started in week 1 of the season. The moment you could tell this Giants team was different than those of the past 5 years happened in the first game. Down 7 versus the Titans with just over 1 minute left in the game, the Giants scored a touchdown. And instead of going for the extra point to tie it, Daboll said, "We're going to make a statement in my first game here. I'm going to show that I have faith in my team, and let's go for 2 to take the lead." Obviously, that's a super risky play, right? But guess what? It worked out and they converted the 2-point attempt. They went on to win that game after the Titans missed a 47-yard field goal. Going for 2 in that moment just set the precedent for this season. It set the attitude for the year. The Giants were in a ton of close games this year and were actually able to win them, which they haven't been able to do the past few years. Being down 10 versus the Ravens with 6 minutes left in the game, no problem, they won. Down 10 versus the Packers at halftime, no worries, we'll shut their offense down in the second half and then go on to win. You can't say enough about how Brian Daboll has coached this whole team, reset the culture. You also can't say enough about how he has coached Daniel Jones individually too. Look at the huge statistical jump Jones made this year, and not just passing, but rushing as well. And the most impressive thing Daniel Jones did this year, in my opinion, was drastically cut down on the turnovers. They were his biggest kryptonite early on in his career. Ari tweeted this out, Daniel Jones turnovers by season. As you can see, he had a ton in his first 3 years. And note this, he didn't play every game in his first 3 years like he has so far in his 4th season. So all those numbers, 23 turnovers, 16 turnovers, 10 turnovers, those aren't even seasons where he played a full 16 games. In the first game of the year, Daniel Jones threw a really bad interception versus the Titans. Brian Daboll got in his face, maybe with some stern words on the sideline, and then Daniel Jones just went on a streak without an interception. I feel like whatever Daboll said to him was some magic words, because that conversation, that pep talk seemed to have changed everything for Daniel Jones and his turnovers. Daboll and offensive coordinator Mike Kafka have Jones playing within himself. He's not out there making any crazy Mahomes or Allen type bazooka throws, but he's just being efficient with the football. He drops back and makes quick decisions that keeps the offense on track. Sometimes it's not even a completion, it's just throwing it away on 2nd down, and that keeps the 3rd down more manageable instead of taking a sack or fumbling the ball after trying to escape and doing too much with it. Saquon Barkley finally being healthy helped this team tremendously. Last season was his first season back from his ACL tear, and experts say it takes a full year of playing after the tear to really get back to 100. And in Barkley's 2nd season back from his injury, he's running and cutting how he did pre-injury. The Giants have leaned on Barkley a ton to establish the run, which really opens up the option game with Daniel Jones, and Barkley is also able to close out games by running out the clock and just wearing other teams down. Yes, the Giants offense has definitely improved a ton this season. I mean, it's really not hard to improve from an offense that's doing QB sneaks on 3rd and 8. But listen, they haven't been one of the best in the league. They scored more than 30 points for the first time this season versus the Colts in week 17. So the defense has had to step up throughout the year. Wink Martindale was hired as the defensive coordinator and continued his blitz-heavy play calling, which has worked in New York's favor this year. Their secondary doesn't have the most talent in the world, especially without Adoree Jackson the past few weeks, but their blitzing has been getting home to the quarterbacks, making them throw off schedule, and forcing a lot of incompletions. So yeah, in year 1 of what was supposed to be a rebuild, the Giants have made the playoffs. It just goes to show how much a competent coach can change a team.